News came out a short time ago that Larry Lucchino, who was the president of the Red Sox during a period of time in which the Red Sox won 3 World Series championships, died today. He was 78 years old and was an important figure in his decade and a half of running the Red Sox. Every time I hear Larry Lucchino's name, I think about John Henry going, Larry Lucchino runs the Red Sox. Runs the Red Sox. That news happened today. Also was heavily involved in the Jimmy Fund, as we know. Had a long sort of relationship with them and helping them with everything that they do. I think that he's a pretty important figure in the success of the Red Sox when the Red Sox had new ownership and were aggressive and got after it. And the thing that I think about now, having reason to think about Larry Lucchino today, is how different of a franchise the Red Sox now is compared to when Larry Lucchino was in charge. I mean, Larry Lucchino, I mean this as a compliment. That guy was a bulldog. Right?
Yeah, he was.
He rubbed people the wrong way.
He didn't care.
He didn't care who got in his way.
I respect that.
He was aggressive. He wanted to win. He wanted to win everything, not just winning, a title. It was winning a negotiation at the free agency table. It was winning in media stuff. It was winning on all fronts. And it even meant winning battles with people inside the organization. Notoriously rubbed Theo the wrong way. And there was friction between Lucchino and Theo Epstein.
Sure.
Right? I mean, he wanted to win every battle there was to win. He wanted to win it. And I just think about how different the team is now, both in terms of their front-facing people, their public-facing people like Sam Kennedy or anybody else who's willing to speak. Lately, it's been Tom Werner. And how different it is now versus when Larry was in charge. And how you should probably, as a Red Sox fan, miss the fact that a guy like Larry Lucchino is not still in charge of the Red Sox, because I don't think Larry Lucchino would enjoy running this version of the Red Sox. That's not who he was.
Correct. The beginning of the end for him was like he sent out the email with the affable Cody Ross or whatever the hell he called him.
That was a mistake, one.
But that was the signal to, okay, I need to move on and do something else. But really, it's the blueprint of stadiums, right? Camden Yards, what he did in that time. And I told you guys all joked about it, but when I went out to Worcester to see the Woo Sox, and Dr. Charles took me around, was in his suite, showed me where Larry's was, and he told me at the time, Larry's starting to age a little bit, and he doesn't come around as much, but he's like, this is what Larry envisioned here. He wanted the ballpark to face this way. So we could see the train station in the background. You could see the train going by. Wouldn't that be cool during the game? You envisioned where the Adirondack chairs were going to go, where the food was going to go, where kids could play. And just make something neat about coming to this ballpark and the vision of it. And it was kind of cool, just to hear that stuff and what he did to Fenway. And I know they've dressed it up over the years. There's only so much you can do. But Larry headed all that up and just trying to make not only the enjoyment of going to the game better, like everybody loved to go to see Fenway, but you did love the new improvements. Some of the new things were cool to see as they were added throughout the course of the years. And like you said, you combine that with tenacious want to win, the tenacity, to have that tenacity and that type of approach, that bulldog mentality. That's what you respected the hell out of him with.
He called himself a hard charger. A great write-up in the Globe by John Powers. If I'm not a hard charger, I don't know what I would be, is what he has him quoted as saying, essentially. And that is so missed right now. I agree with Beetle on that front. I mean, remember what was the initial big fissure between he and Theo Epstein? It was that Theo wanted to build the farm system, and Larry didn't want to rebuild. He wanted to contend and win every single year. How do you think he'd be doing if he was in that front office of the Red Sox right now?
He would not be able to do this. He would not be able to stomach it.
You should be thankful then, as Red Sox fans, for the tenure that Larry Lucchino had here and that approach that he brought to the baseball team.
And the competitive juices between them and like the Patriots at the time. Which one's biggest in town? The Patriots started to win, and you started to have that dynasty at the beginning. The Red Sox, you go back to when it was 03, 04. You look at 07, 2013, like his hands were in all that. And it was the back and forth between them and the Globe on them. And the Globe didn't like the Pats. Patriots don't like them. They don't like the Patriots. The competitive part of wanting to be the best sports team in town, which was, I think, that drove him. And you appreciated that. I loved the back and forth. Loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure there were things that, if you remember back, the things that as a fan you got pissed at Larry Lucchino for over the years. I mean, I think that's natural when you have a sports executive, but I just think that's his legacy, is that the guy was just a bulldog and wanted to win all the time. The guy just had to win. And you mentioned the ballpark, so it's an important part of it. I mean, Fenway still stands today because of Larry Lucchino. And it is what it is today because of Larry Lucchino.
Yeah.
Because I do think that when the team was sold at that time, the question was, will the ballpark stay or will the ballpark go? Right? There was sort of a growing movement to get a new ballpark. A lot of talk about it being down on the waterfront, all of that, right? That was a real conversation in the late 90s into the early 2000s. And he was dead set against that from his time, as you mentioned, with the Orioles.
Yep.
Where he did build a new ballpark and he did build a new one in San Diego.
Gorgeous.
But here he said, that famous quote, you preserve the Mona Lisa. Yeah. So
thank God for that, too, because listen, all of the multi-purpose, no character, nothing about them, nothing you could sink your teeth into types of stadiums that were built in the 60s and 70s and AstroTurf, and they meant nothing. And the fact that he wanted a little bit of character in some of these ballparks, whether it's Camden, Fenway,
Camden's such a cool park.
Petco Park in San Diego, like these are cool parks that you are sharing in an experience in.
Yeah.
When you attend games there.
How many times have you gone to M&T Bank Stadium down there to cover the Ravens games against the Patriots, and you have to walk right through and basically past Camden Yards, and you look in and you say, why can't we have this in Boston? And he probably wanted that, but he knew you couldn't do it because of Fenway.
He did the best he could with what he had.
Let's make it as much as we can.
Let's
like
put
that.
seats on top of the monster.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
let's expand it.
Yeah.
Let's expand it. Let's build around the stadium. We can monetize all of this stuff.
Right. And that all, of course, came from his partnership and relationship with Jenna Marie Smith, who was, obviously involved in all of this with Larry Lucchino. So that's, a credit to her and a credit to Larry Lucchino for giving someone who really had a vision for this stuff the power to get it done. So that is the news today. Larry Lucchino passes away at the age of 78 and obviously left a lasting image in all of our minds as Red Sox fans, and really had a huge impact on the organization for a pretty important time. And I think that someone like him is definitely missed within that Red Sox organization that probably pushed everybody's buttons from ownership right on down to, the grounds crew. Someone that was just present and was there all the time and was in tune with what the hell was happening every day within the organization. It feels like they lack that kind of person these days. It feels like they don't have that guy.
You know what he didn't strike me as? A yes man.
Oh, for sure.
That's not what Larry
that.
Lucchino was.
Nope.
I think he might have a little bit too much of that going on with the baseball team right now.